Hi everybody, Laura here. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm excited to share a couple of shaker projects featuring the new Heartfelt Holiday Kit by Queen & Company. I've done a couple videos with kits by Queen & Company and they're so fun. I'm sort of addicted, and now we have a holiday one, and in the kit you get all the things you need to make holiday shakers. There's a stamp set, there's 3 of these foam sheets that make the shakers. There's also the acetate sheets pre-cut. My favorite is probably the shaker toppings, and there's 8, I believe 8 different shaker toppings. And there's little red, green, and white balls, little peppermint twist candies, and little stars. Seems like there might be more than 8. Anywho, there's also a 6x6 paper pad, double-sided, with the holiday theme, snowflakes, plaids, stripes. And then of course you get the steel dies. There's 23 dies to create a Santa Claus, which is, I'm going to make first a Santa face. I mean, who doesn't love a Santa face with a shaker beard? And then I'm going to make a Noel star. There's also presents. There's an angel. There's a poinsettia. I mean, you name it. Christmas iconic images, and they shake. Okay, so I'm just following there's like a little paper that comes in the kit, and you kind of can get the lay of the land. But what I'm doing here is die cutting the Santa beard, the Santa hat, his face, and his nose and his eyes. So all the parts that you're going to need are getting die cut right now. It's pretty easy. Makes you look like you know what you're doing. Okay, take this off camera, run it through my die cutting machine, and then I'll show you how this comes together. So here's the Santa hat. I did this out of some bright red cardstock. I believe that's Poppy cardstock by Concord 9th. And then I used some skin. Concord 9th has some new skin tone cardstocks, which I love. And I did his face out of that. And then this big white outline is the beard. And then the little cuff for the Santa hat. And here's a big old nose. Thought about doing a pink nose. And then, of course, the mustache. And then for the eyes, I'm going to die cut one more white ball using the same die that cuts the nose and the eyes, but I used white, and that's the little pom-pom for the Santa hat. You could also do a little pom-pom. And then I just took a black Copic marker and colored those teeny tiny little eyeballs, which I die cut out of that skin color. And then here's the foam beard shaker shape, and here's the foam acetate. I love how everything's pre-cut. And I'm also going to be using some pattern paper from the pack for the background. I just chose kind of a subtle, what is this, trees pattern. I'm cutting it a little bit smaller than a white card base to have a nice white margin around the edge. So I have my card base here out of white cardstock. I'm going to adhere the pattern paper first using a little tape runner. You could also pop it up with foam tape if you want to. So see how you have that nice little white border around the edge. I love that. Okay, so I'm going to just decide where I want to put my Santa beard, and I have the white inner from the die cut. I die cut another one to have the white inner part because I want my shaker filler to be on a white background instead of that green pattern paper. So I put down a white first. That way when it shows through, it'll have a white background. Here's my foam shaker. It's double-sided, so there's adhesive on the back. You just pop it down, and then there's adhesive on the front when I remove that backing. What do you call it? Here's all the little fillers. I'm just going to do white balls since it's a white beard. I didn't want to add too much color since it is a beard area. And, you never know how many to add. When it's all said and done, I kind of always wish I added a few more, but I never want it to be too full. Got to find that sweet shaker spot. And then popping on the acetate topper, and your shaker part is done. It's so easy, it's addictive. And then I'm going to put a little glue around the edge and finish it off with that top die cut piece. So you have a nice finished looking Santa beard. Hold that down, count to 10. Gives you a little playtime to shimmy it around if you need to. And then I'm going to adhere his face with that skin tone little die cut right there. And then the hat right on top. I'm using some Barely Art glue. I didn't put any foam tape behind the hat. It's just adhered. You could put a little foam tape if you want a little extra support, but I didn't feel like it really needed it. I was thinking about adding a little mini white pom-pom to the end of the hat, but I just used the die cut instead. Here's the mustache. And then I already popped the nose up with a little bit of foam tape, gluing the eyeballs right there. And this, look how easy this came together. Oh, you better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. You know, you put this thing together, you are going to break out in some Christmas jingles. Guaranteed. Okay. Stamp set included in the kit. I'm going to emboss a sentiment. It says celebrate the season. I'm going to emboss it in white on a little strip of black cardstock. There's a lot of fun sentiments in the set. I wanted something that was pretty simple, like one line, so I could trim it out in a little sentiment strip, pop it down on the bottom. Inking this up with Versamark ink a few times, and then pouring on some white embossing powder, and then I'll heat that with the heat gun and trim it out to a little sentiment strip. This card's pretty clean and simple. Not a lot going on. You could definitely add more if you want to. More layers, more frames, and all that. I am going to add a little twine after it's all said and done because it just kind of ties in nice. It's a black and white sentiment, and I'm going to add a little black and white twine. It's kind of like matching your belt to your shoes, which I never do because I don't even remember the last time I wore a belt or needed a belt. Huh, that's another subject for another day. Okay, celebrate the season. And here's a little black and white twine. And here's my little trick. You know, I learned this years ago from Julie Ebersole. She held together, when she was tying a knot, she held together with the little reverse tweezers. It blew my mind. Such a simple little trick, but it helps you to get a nice bow. It really does. Okay. And I feel like that twine just tied in nice with the sentiment, kind of filled in a little space up there on the top corner. And there you have it. A Santa shaker. I mean, Merry Christmas and forget about it. Now, here's another one. I just wanted to do one more because you can get on a roll. I want to do this Noel star. The thing I like about this one here is you don't really need to add a sentiment because it's kind of like included in the die cut. I'm going to die cut this star out of white cardstock. There is some little innards there. You got to carefully pop out. I'm using my little needle tool. What's this called? The Place and Pierce wand by Simon Says Stamp. And then I'm going to use a cream card base because I love that neutral on neutral. And here's the little star foam shaker wall. What do you call this? Shape? Your shaker shape? And the acetate. Just love this. It's all been done for you. I'm going to add an assortment of shaker toppings to this one. Some of these little, they're kind of like light aqua stars, pearly balls, and the little peppermints. The little peppermint stole my heart. So I have a panel here of buttercream cardstock, which I trimmed a little bit smaller to have that nice border on a white card base, adhering it with tape runner. And then we will add our little foam shaker shape. Just going to pop that down. Now this time I didn't put any white die cut behind it. So you're going to see that cream through the shaker. But I was fine with that. I was fine with that here. Now the best part, I mean, if you ask me, this is the best part. Fill in it. Little pearly balls, little aqua stars, and peppermint. Little peppermint candies. Forget about it. Remove that lining. Pop on your acetate star. And then your shaker's done. You feel like a shaker sorcerer. And then I'm put a little glue on to glue the Noel die cut. This couldn't be easier. I mean, I know you only get 3. You get 3 stars in the kit. I think you can buy a refill pack if you want to get more. Because this star right here, so easy. And I could see myself wanting to make a few of these. And then there's a little tiny bow die in the set. Makes the cutest little bow. I decided to do a bright red bow. That's that poppy cardstock from Concord 9th. This comes together so easy. Sometimes I struggle with bow die cuts, but I might have, if I did this again, I might, you got to hold it when you got liquid adhesive. You got to give it a little time, so you got to hold it. But you could also use that skinny score tape, and that will adhere, immediately. A little bit of glue on the back. You wrap that little middle around, which was a little bit longer, so I had to trim off a little excess. And I'm going to hold this with the tweezers. So that'll secure it all together while the glue dries. You don't have to worry about your bow coming apart. Does that ever happen to anybody? It's happened to me. I do a die cut bow and I glue it and then I adhere it to my project, walk away, come back. The whole thing pops apart because the bow wasn't dry and secure. But look at that bow on the top of that Noel star and those little bitty peppermint shaker toppings. There you have it. 2 cards using the Heartfelt Holiday Kit by Queen & Company. Check out their website for more inspiration. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time.